Thank you. Ayubowan, that is the Sri Lankan way of greeting, means may you live long. And namaste in Tamil. And I'm here to speak to you about making things happen for children in midst of conflict. The other day, on the first day, Bonnie said, World Forum is like coming home. It is for me, because this is the 7th World Forum that I'm attending. And for me, it's like coming home. And to Hawaii, the plants, whatever you point out, is in Sri Lanka also. The temperature, the vegetation is the same. So it's another home. And then I'm so grateful to Bonnie, Roger, and Annie Benz, who is here, for making me to come here to address you my experiences after the war, during the war, and during all the disasters that we have experienced. So I represent a large NGO in Sri Lanka, which is called Sarvodaya. The meaning is awakening. And working for the poorest of the poor people for more than 50 years in Sri Lanka. And the founder is Dr. A.T. Aryaratna, who is named as the Gandhi in Sri Lanka. So I'm proud to be associated with this association, because they are trying to awaken the lives of people in very, very remote areas. This is my country, just at the tip of India. If you take India as a necklace, the pendant is Sri Lanka. And it is being called the pearl of the Indian Ocean. It is a pearl indeed. It was a pearl. And we have, but this pearl had many disasters. And we had the tsunami in 2004. And we had worked for the tsunami. We had preschools in these areas. And with all the people in the country, 20 million people, they all rushed to the areas, tsunami areas, to help people. And after 12 hours, a survey was done. After 12 hours, every person had got a drink or some food in the country who had been affected by tsunami. So the people helped in many ways to uplift the standard of these people in the area. And we from Sarvodaya, we had preschools. And then the 30 years of civil war. And we experienced many, many damages to the lives of people. Then the slides, the landslides. And in the hill country, once we went to a small school, a preschool in the hill country, beautiful surroundings in the village, and we had training for the teacher, because it's difficult for this teacher to go and get training, and it's very difficult for children to go to another school. They had to go to another school, they had to go beyond the hills. So it's far for them to walk. And this little hamlet was so beautiful that we had spent many hours talking to the teacher, to the parents, and it was an excellent teacher. Then after a month, the slides just went over the building and it was flat on the floor. And those are the disasters that have sapped the wealth of the country, the wealth of the people, affecting the whole country. The floods, the tsunami, the war, the landslides. And then after the war, people, thousands and thousands, they fled to safe areas. And it was like a river. They were running with whatever they could get hold of, leaving all their wealth and everybody. And they came and they were settled in the Manik farm, which is a big area, and they were very systematically, they were settled like this in the camps. These are the zones. We had from about 7 zones where the people were housed in blocks of tents. First, they were this temporary sets, and then semi-permanent sets later. And these blocks were named, they were numbered, and all these blocks had a headman, and he is also an IDP. He had all the statistics of the people in those blocks, and each block had little huts, semi-permanent, and in those houses the people lived. And this headman had the statistics of the children, their ages, the widows, the education level, and then we could tap them to use them for our training programs. And there were about 300,000 internally displaced people. Out of them, 60,000 were children, and then 10,000 0-3, and 15,000 were 3 to 5. And to tell you, there were so many programs to raise the nutrition level of these children. UNICEF, WHO, Sarvodaya, and the government, the health ministry, they all screened the children with Sarvodaya facilitators, screened the children, and they were given the appropriate meals to raise this nutrition level. And the physical state of the children were taken care of. But it was unfortunate to say that the cognitive development, psychomotor development, psychosocial development, the emotional development ignored, because the parents didn't have the peace of mind to attend to these things, because they had more problems in their head. They were traumatized by the war, and not knowing that the children at this age, their minds are developed, 80% of the minds are developed, and traumatized by the war, and leaving their loved ones here and there. They don't know whether the loved ones are in another tent or they're dead and gone. So with all of this background, they were not in a peace of mind to think about the children's education or their development, except the physical development, which had been taken care of others. Then this is what I did. I went to these camps, to everyone, and I walked miles and miles to find out how the children are. Then found the parents, they dragged them, and they were so traumatized, and they beat the children, they abused the children, they even tied them into poles, and they used very unhealthy language to the children because they were not happy themselves. They had lost their loved ones, the belongings, and they were thinking about the future more than the children who are at present with them. And there was no dialogue between the parents and the children. And the language development was not taking place, which is the basis for all development areas. That was neglected. And if we didn't do anything for these children, who are the future citizens who will avoid a conflict later, there will be more disasters if their mental development has not been taken care of, and the emotional development. And that was the disaster ahead of us. So I went from place to place to find out the learning opportunities and how they lived, because we were not allowed to take photographs. And then we identified volunteers to work with us, and they were the IDPs, internally displaced people. And we made an announcement through the public addressing system that was there in the camp, and rows and rows of young people came, And then we had to interview them, and then we gave them a little paper to each one to write a sentence to find out whether they can read and write. And to tell you, we have a literacy state of 98% in the country. So everybody could read and write, and the best one was selected, and then they were given a kit with the learning opportunities for every age group from 0 to 5 years. Age appropriate activities were in that kit. And storybooks, little toys, and games and songs to be played with the children. And then they were ready to go and facilitate, to do their facilitation with the parents. And there was Rani, who had worked in a bank, and there was Damayanti, who had been a teacher, and there were more widows. So we paid more attention to recruit widows because we had to give them an allowance. And then the program inaugurated on an auspicious day, because religion plays an important part in these people, and then it is a therapeutic way of healing their wounds. So we found that we should have an auspicious day and a religious ceremony performed on the Deepavali day. So in about 3-4 hours, we rushed to get things that we wanted, and we found a priest among the IDPs. So we got him to come, and the religious activity was performed to make things more normal for people. And then there were so many facilities provided by Sarvodaya, and then there were the library and marketplaces, and the children were given food. There were community kitchens, and we took chefs from all the 5-star hotels, and the people were trained in groups, in small groups, large groups, and they were so attentive. And the best lesson was the brain development lesson. And then the fathers came, and mathematics was taught with all the things that we could find. And then the children start child-to-child learning. The mothers made stories, and the storytelling was done. And the mothers found indigenous way of working with children and play. And then the language development. They had dialogue using the storybooks. And the drunken fathers, we had posters to make them understand that they shouldn't drink. And the children made pictures, and they had discussions. And in the kitchen, they used whatever the material to teach children. And then we went from 10 to 10 to do the monitoring. And facilitators maintained notes. And we read the notes and prepared refresher training. And the impact was immense. And the parents had realized that they are the first teachers, and they realized the potential in them to stimulate children with whatever is available in the environment, and to use the 5 senses to develop the brain. And that was a great success. And then we have to have teachers, and we have partners in preschools. Sarvodaya is trying to develop partners in preschools to develop the teachers, to strengthen the teachers to work for the children. And then we had the training programs. And then, last of all, I should say, I was so proud and happy to have been a success doing this program. And I'm happy to be here to address you, and I'm proud to be here to address you. But I'm so guilty. I can't be proud because the task is not finished. There are more things to be done. I thought I taught these people, but I have learned more from them. And there's abundance of wealth in my hand to give the other people who are now transferred into back into their villages. But I'm tied down because there are no resources for me to go there. So I'm thankful to everybody here for listening to me, and if you need more information, I can give you. And I have this poster. I can lend a few to you, and I developed a little note for the parents, and it's in all the 3 languages. So I'm so happy, but I'm guilty because the task is not finished. And I appeal to you, the learned people who love children, that we get together and try to help to avoid another disaster and to develop the skills to minimize the damage, whatever happens. So thank you, and are you born again? May you live long, and may the World Forum live long to help the needy, the girl, the boy in a remote village who needs the loving care of parents, who need to do education, who are waiting for us to assist that little child who is in a remote village. Thank you very much.